The Celestial Royale Hotel, an exclusive 8-star paradise in the heart of New York City, was a place where only the elite roamed. Crystal chandeliers, gold-trimmed staircases, and marble floors made it feel like a palace for the wealthy. Inside, the head receptionist, Madeline Sterling, was known for her impeccable service, but only to those she deemed worthy. That evening, a woman in a simple black hoodie, jeans, and a cap walked into the grand lobby. She approached the front desk with a calm but confident posture. "Good evening, I have a reservation under Bullock." Madeline barely spared her a glance. She wrinkled her nose. Another commoner trying to sneak into luxury. "I'm sorry," Madeline said, her voice cold and condescending. "We don't take last-minute walk-ins. This hotel is for elite guests only." The woman lowered her cap slightly, revealing her face. It was Sandra Bullock. Before she could respond, a deep, firm voice cut through the air. "Is there a problem?" Madeline turned to see Keanu Reeves, dressed sharply in a black suit, standing just behind Sandra. His piercing gaze locked onto Madeline, his usual calm demeanor replaced by quiet disappointment. The entire lobby fell silent. Madeline's face drained of color. She immediately recognized Keanu Reeves, one of Hollywood's most beloved actors, and a man known for his kindness and humility. "Mr. Reeves, I didn't realize," she stammered. Keanu crossed his arms. "Didn't realize what? That you just insulted one of the most respected actresses in the world." Madeline's heartbeat raced. Sandra chuckled softly. "Don't worry, I get this a lot when I dress casually." Keanu, however, wasn't amused. He turned to the hotel manager, Richard Langford, who had just arrived after hearing the commotion. "Is this how your hotel treats its guests?" Keanu's voice was dangerously calm. Richard's face paled. "Absolutely not, Mr. Reeves. Miss Bullock, please accept my deepest apologies. Your penthouse suite is ready." Sandra simply nodded, but Keanu wasn't done yet. "I think Madeline needs to understand what it feels like to be judged unfairly," he said, his tone carrying weight. Madeline's eyes widened in fear. Richard hesitated. "What do you suggest?" Keanu's lips curled into a knowing smile. "Let's switch roles. For the next 2 days, Madeline will be a guest, while someone else takes her place at the front desk." The staff gasped. Madeline froze. You can't be serious." Sandra tilted her head. "Oh, but we are." The next morning, Madeline Sterling was no longer the head receptionist. She was just another guest. Dressed in simple, casual clothes, she approached the front desk, where her junior colleague, Daniel, was now in charge. "Welcome to Celestial Royale," Daniel said smoothly. "How can I assist you?" I have a reservation under Sterling." Daniel scanned the system, then raised an eyebrow. "Ah, a standard room. You'll have to wait for check-in at 3 p.m. Madeline frowned. "Can't I check in earlier?" Daniel barely glanced at her. "Sorry, we're fully booked." But before Madeline could argue, a wealthy-looking woman in designer clothes approached. "Good afternoon." Daniel's tone immediately changed. It was warmer, more enthusiastic. "You must be Mrs. Kensington. Your suite is ready. Let me personally escort you." Madeline felt a pang of shame. Over the next 48 hours, Madeline experienced what it was like to be on the other side. The waitstaff ignored her in favor of high-profile guests. The spa receptionist denied her a last-minute booking, even though she knew spots were available. When she asked for extra pillows, the housekeeping staff sighed and acted bothered. Every moment was a lesson in humility. By the end of the second day, Madeline felt exhausted, embarrassed, and regretful. On the third morning, Madeline stood in front of Keanu and Sandra, her expression sincere. "I understand now," she admitted. "I was wrong to judge people by their appearance. True luxury should be about kindness, not status." Keanu gave her a small nod. "Good. Now, let's see if you've really learned." That afternoon, a new guest entered the hotel lobby, a man wearing old, tattered clothes. The other staff hesitated, but before anyone could dismiss him, Madeline stepped forward with a genuine smile. "Welcome to Celestial Royale," she said warmly. "How can I assist you today?" Keanu and Sandra, watching from across the room, exchanged a look. "I think she got it," Sandra said with a grin. Keanu smirked. "Took her long enough." After this eye-opening experience, Celestial Royale introduced a new hospitality policy, one that emphasized equal respect for all guests, no matter their appearance. Madeline Sterling became known as one of the most welcoming and humble employees in the hotel, proving that sometimes, the best lessons come from experiencing what it feels like to be on the other side. As for Keanu and Sandra, they enjoyed their 5-star stay, knowing they had made a real difference not just in Madeline's life, but in the entire hotel. Weeks had passed since the incident at Celestial Royale, and word had spread about the lesson Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock had taught the arrogant receptionist, Madeline Sterling. The hotel's reputation, once tainted by its elitist attitude, was slowly transforming. Madeline, now a humbled and more compassionate employee, worked diligently to prove she had truly changed. Her colleagues noticed the shift. She greeted guests with genuine warmth, assisted customers without hesitation, and, most importantly, treated everyone with the same level of respect. But just when she thought she had left her past mistakes behind, fate decided to test her once more. One evening, as the lobby bustled with wealthy guests, a man in worn-out jeans, a faded jacket, and messy hair walked in. He carried an old backpack, looking out of place among the elegant surroundings. The other receptionists glanced at each other, whispering. "Is he lost?" one murmured. "Maybe security should escort him out," another suggested. But before anyone could act, Madeline stepped forward. "Welcome to Celestial Royale," she said with a polite smile. "How can I assist you today?" The man looked at her with tired but kind eyes. "I have a reservation under the name Harper." Madeline checked the system. To her surprise, the reservation was for the Imperial Suite, one of the most expensive accommodations in the entire hotel. The other staff members gasped in disbelief. "I see your reservation here, Mr. Harper," Madeline continued smoothly. "Let me personally escort you to your suite." As she guided him toward the elevator, one of the newer receptionists, Lisa, rolled her eyes. "You're seriously treating him like VIP," Lisa whispered. Madeline turned to her, her expression firm. "He is VIP. His appearance doesn't determine his worth." The older staff members, remembering her own past mistakes, smiled knowingly. As Madeline led Mr. Harper to his suite, he chuckled softly. "I appreciate how you handled that," he said. She tilted her head. "Handled what?" "The judgment," he replied. "Most people see the way I dress and assume I don't belong." Madeline sighed. "I used to be like that too. But someone taught me an important lesson." Mr. Harper smiled knowingly. "Let me guess, Keanu Reeves." She stopped in her tracks. "Wait, how did you know?" Harper laughed. "Because he's my business partner." Madeline's eyes widened. "You mean, you work with Keanu Reeves?" "Not just work with him," Harper said, taking out a business card. "I own one of the biggest luxury hotel chains in the world, and Keanu told me about this hotel." Madeline's heart pounded. "So, this was a test?" she asked. Harper grinned. "Let's just say, Keanu wanted to see if you really learned your lesson." Madeline couldn't believe it. She had unknowingly been evaluated by one of the most powerful figures in the industry, and she had passed. Later that evening, Keanu and Sandra arrived at the hotel, both grinning as they approached Madeline. "So," Keanu said casually, "how did you treat my friend Harper?" Madeline straightened. "With the same respect I'd give any guest, Mr. Reeves," Sandra chuckled. "She did great. Even put a snobby receptionist in her place." Keanu nodded approvingly. "Good, because Harper has something to tell you." Harper stepped forward, handing Madeline an envelope. "Inside is a job offer," he said. "We need people like you, people who've grown, changed, and understand what hospitality really means." Madeline's jaw dropped. "You mean, you want me to work for your hotel chain?" Harper nodded. "At one of our flagship locations. Of course, it's your choice." Tears welled in Madeline's eyes. A few months ago, she had been arrogant and dismissive, judging people by their looks. Now, she was being rewarded for her transformation. She turned to Keanu and Sandra, her voice full of gratitude. "I don't know how to thank you both," Keanu smirked. "Just don't mess up your new Joe." Sandra laughed. "And maybe one day, you'll be the one teaching someone else this lesson." Madeline smiled, looking at the offer in her hands. A new journey was about to begin. The lobby of Elysium Heights was breathtaking: crystal chandeliers, polished marble floors, and elegantly dressed staff moving with purpose. As Madeline approached the reception desk, she was greeted by Emma Waverly, the hotel's chief manager, a woman in her late 40s with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. Emma had built a reputation for being both demanding and fair. "Madeline Sterling?" Emma asked, glancing at her watch. "Yes, ma'am," Madeline responded politely. Emma nodded. "You come highly recommended by Mr. Harper, but let's be clear, I don't believe in recommendations. I believe in results. Are you ready to prove yourself?" Madeline straightened her posture. "Absolutely." Emma handed her a schedule. "Good, your first task. Handle the front desk during today's VIP check-ins." Madeline swallowed. This was no ordinary task. Elysium Heights catered to royalty, celebrities, and billionaires. "Understood," she said confidently. The first few hours went smoothly. Madeline checked in several high-profile guests, ensuring they were comfortable and attended to. Then, a man in simple, rugged clothing entered the lobby. He had disheveled hair, a long beard, and carried an old, tattered suitcase. The other receptionists exchanged uneasy glances, some whispering among themselves. One of them, Liam, muttered, "Probably lost, or a street wanderer." Emma, standing nearby, said nothing. She simply observed. Madeline took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Welcome to Elysium Heights. How can I assist you, sir?" she said with a warm smile. The man looked at her, slightly surprised. "I have a reservation under the name William Hayes." Madeline checked the system and was shocked. Not only did he have a reservation, but it was for the Celestial Suite, the most exclusive room in the hotel. As she processed his check-in, Liam whispered, "That must be a mistake. Look at him. Madeline turned to him and said firmly, "We don't judge guests by their appearance." The man, William Hayes, smiled slightly but said nothing. After handing him the key, she personally escorted him to his suite. That evening, Madeline was called into Emma's office. As she entered, she was surprised to see Keanu Reeves and Harper sitting inside, along with William Hayes. Emma smiled for the first time that day. "Madeline, do you know who Mr. Hayes is?" Madeline glanced at William, confused. "He's a guest, ma'am," Keanu chuckled. "Not just any guest." Harper leaned forward. "William Hayes is one of the world's richest entrepreneurs. He's known for testing hotels by showing up in humble clothing to see how he's treated." Madeline's heart pounded. Emma continued, "Many staff members fail this test. They judge, they hesitate, they ignore. But you treated him with respect from the start." William stood up, offering a handshake. "Madeline, you've proven that you understand true hospitality. And because of that, I have an offer for you." She shook his hand, still processing what was happening. "An offer? How would you like to be the head of guest relations at another one of our luxury hotels? It's a leadership role, and you'll have the chance to train new staff on what real hospitality means." Madeline felt tears well up. A few months ago, she was the one who needed a lesson. Now, she was being trusted to teach others. Keanu smiled. "Looks like you've come full circle." Madeline laughed softly and nodded. "I'd be honored." As she left the office, she realized this wasn't just a new job.